I study olfaction, which is just a fancy word for the sense of smell. And specifically, I'm interested in how we can use odors to improve our memories during sleep. So first, you encounter so much new information every day. You see new things, you hear new things, you smell new things, you learn new things. So at the end of each day, there are so many things that you could possibly remember for the future. Which shirt did you wear today? What happened at your friend's birthday party? Which cereal did you eat for breakfast this morning? And what were those world capitals that you learned during your history class earlier? You learn so much new information every single day that you can't possibly remember it all. Memory consolidation is the process where your brain chooses some memories to make stronger so that you'll remember them in the future, while other memories remain weak so that you'll ultimately forget them. For instance, you're more likely to remember experiences that are rewarding or emotional, or information that you'll need to know for your future, whereas you're more likely to forget less important background information. But how does your brain make some memories stronger than others? Well, this is an active area of neuroscience research, but the basic idea is that the same brain cells, or neurons, that are active when you form a new memory are active again later on to make those memories stronger. This process is called memory replay, because your memories are essentially played again so that they can be moved to long-term storage. And while you're processing new memories all the time, sleep is a particularly important time for memory replay and therefore memory consolidation. Your brain usually does a pretty good job of deciding what to consolidate, but sometimes you forget important information, like maybe those world capitals for your history quiz. So what if you could have better control over which memories your brain consolidated during sleep? Well, we might be able to do just that with a technique called targeted memory reactivation, or TMR for short. And to tell you about this technique, I'll describe the first TMR experiment from back in 2007. In this experiment, people came into the lab and they learned card pair locations, like in the memory game Concentration. And while they were learning those card pair locations, they were smelling a rose odor. Now, this odor had nothing to do with the task. It was simply playing in the background. Next, people took a nap in the lab, and when they fell asleep, researchers presented the same rose odor right to their noses while they were sleeping. Finally, when they woke up, they were given a memory test to see how well they remembered those card pair locations from before the nap. Researchers found that people performed better on this memory test if they had received that rose odor during the nap, compared to if they just smelled plain, odorless air. Now, this is really amazing, because even though these people had no recollection of smelling that odor during sleep, the rose odor was able to improve the associated memory. Since this experiment, there have been several others that have shown that in addition to odors, sounds can also be used in this way to improve memory. And TMR has been shown to work in a broad number of memory paradigms, not just this one. But despite these exciting results, we don't really understand the neural mechanisms underlying TMR. That is, what happens in your brain when you smell an odor in order to improve the associated memory during sleep? Well, the idea is that if you learn something in the presence of an odor, then smelling that odor again during sleep might promote replay of that associated memory, which would then make that memory stronger. But so far, there isn't a whole lot of scientific evidence to support this theory. So more research is really needed to understand how odors improve memory in the brain during sleep. And that's where my research comes in. In my lab, we use a technique called MRI, short for magnetic resonance imaging. This is a picture of an MRI scanner. It's essentially a giant magnet. And when you lie in the center of the magnet and it's turned on, I can see which parts of your brain are active. This is an example of a brain activity map. Here, these are parts of the brain that are active when someone is looking at pictures of objects. So the orange and yellow bits are mostly in visual brain regions. In my experiment, people go into the MRI scanner and they look at pictures from 4 different categories. These categories are animals, buildings, faces, and tools. Pictures appear on this 4x4 grid, and people do their best to remember which grid space each picture belongs in. Now, the purpose of this part of the task is twofold. First, people start to learn these picture locations, which they'll need to remember for a later memory test. Next, Your brain activity looks different depending on whether you're looking at animals, buildings, faces, or tools. So because this part of the experiment is completed in the MRI scanner, I can see what each individual person's patterns of brain activity look like in response to these 4 picture categories. Here, I'm depicting patterns of brain activity as these grayscale grids. Next, people learn to associate each of the 4 picture categories with the 4 category-specific odors. So for instance, building pictures might be associated with a rose odor. Face pictures might be associated with mint. Animal pictures could be associated with banana, and tools might be paired with cedar. Next, the same people go back into the MRI scanner and take a nap. Once they fall asleep, I can deliver 2 of the category-specific odors right to their noses while they're sleeping. In this example, I would deliver banana and mint odors, and then I could look at the pattern of brain activity during sleep. So with this paradigm, we can ask 2 important questions. First, do odors promote memory replay in the sleeping brain? So if I were to deliver a banana odor, could I see a pattern of brain activity consistent with the animal pattern from learning? Next, do odors promote memory consolidation? So if I deliver a banana odor during sleep, then when people wake up, do they have a better memory for those animal picture locations? So far, one of our most interesting findings is that there's a relationship between memory performance and memory replay in prefrontal cortex, which is a part of the brain that's important for recalling old memories. So the more odors evoke memory replay in prefrontal cortex during sleep, the better people remember those associated picture locations when they wake up. Now, this research is really important because the better we understand targeted memory reactivation, the better chance we have of controlling what we remember and what we forget. This is not only important for healthy individuals, but down the line could even help people with memory disorders, like Alzheimer's disease. Thank you very much.